Senator Ruston.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President, and it's with great pleasure I stand tonight to talk about something that's very close to my heart, and that is empowering young women to believe that they can do whatever they want to do in this world and not be in any way deterred from trying to achieve the very best that they can in their lives. And today we have launched the Country to Canberra essay competition, which seeks to allow young women in Year 10 and Year 12 from rural and regional and remote communities in Australia who aspire to be future leaders in this country to enter into a 500-word essay competition. And this year the subject of the essay is, if you were Prime Minister for a day, what would you do to help to achieve gender equality? This is the second year of this particular competition. Last year we had we did this particular project, and I'd just like to acknowledge Hannah Wandell, who is a young lady from Blythe in South Australia, my home state, who came up with this idea and ran it all herself. And last year she was very limited in the resources that she had available to her to be able to do this, but she managed to get sponsorship, which enabled her to bring a winner from 3 states. And those winners came to Canberra, and she was able to pay for their expenses and to include a private tour of Parliament House, a tour of the War Memorial, and a program where the winners were able to meet a number of the women that are in this Parliament and work in federal government, including they met the Foreign Affairs Minister, Julie Bishop. We also, Barnaby Joyce came to speak to them, the then ACT Chief Minister and now our colleague here in the Senate also met with them, Katie Gallagher, and they were able to come and see actually what the people that they were aspiring to be, the ones that had actually already achieved that success in their careers. And it was amazing in reading many of the essays that were put forward by these young women, and just the amazing diversity of opinion that they had. Last year their essay topic was more along whether they believed that they had been encumbered in any way in achieving what they wanted to achieve because they were women. And this year, obviously, the topic's slightly different. But it was interesting last year, and listening to some of the comments that we got from the people that came to Canberra. The response from our competition winner, Vesna Clark, and I'll read it to you, Mr Acting Deputy President. The main message I took away with me from the trip was to take risks. No matter what people say, or if you doubt yourself, just do it. Almost always you will surprise yourself. The whole experience, including actually writing the essay, being published, and the power trip, was life-changing. I became more confident in my writing and opinion. Sharing them with others and published on Country to Canberra was even more of a confidence boost. I have learnt not to hold back, and that writing is one of the most powerful ways to express your ideas. So it's a very positive response that Vesna had to her success in this particular project. However, Ellie Graham from Melrose in South Australia, who was another finalist last year, and her essay was called Licked Before We've Begun, and she tells the story of her country's sport experience and speaks about mothers who defend the position of football as being more important than netball. And Ellie wrote, "It's disheartening to watch strong, intelligent women hide their brains and accept that their daughters' lives don't have equal values to their sons." So Ella highlights the more that needs to be done to empower women and young girls in her particular community, and the sporting community is a really good place to start. So it's really interesting, the diversity of views. I mean, there were many different views in between, but I picked those 2 out because they were so contrasting. But it really does clearly demonstrate the different feelings and views, and that some women are given the opportunity of empowerment more easily within their communities than others, and some of them see the opportunities probably more readily than others do. And I just, before I conclude, would like to mention the last weekend that the 70th anniversary of the Women's Council of the Liberal Party held their celebrations in Adelaide. And one of the things that was raised at the time was obviously the issue of having better representation of women in the Liberal Party in this place and other parliaments around Australia. And it was really interesting to hear the views of those people that spoke at the conference. And it was also really heartening to hear the Prime Minister say that he was going to champion the cause and stop talking and actually start walking in this space and doing some proactive things to make sure that we see more women in Parliament. And there were a number of comments that were made during the conference, but there were a few that I'd just like to put on the record. One of the comments that I made myself was that, you know, I don't support quotas and I don't support lists and I certainly don't support captain's picks. I'm a great believer in the meritocracy, but every now and again I think that we have to have a little look to make sure that the people that we have in place really do meet that meritocracy rule, because as time goes by, I think we see many women perhaps that 3 or 4 years ago may not have met the rule of being the best person for the job, but maybe these days they do. The other thing that was very clear was that we have to be proactive in this space, and if we are going to say that we don't support quotas, lists and captain's picks, of which I say I don't, we do have to be more proactive in this space to create an environment where women are feeling more encouraged to actually put their hand up in the first place. So we actually have to create behind the scenes, create the environment where women are going to be prepared to actually start on the journey to be able to be in this place. It's certainly a journey that has been extraordinarily fulfilling for myself, and I'm sure Senator Payne would equally say that her opportunity to be in this place has been a fantastic one, but somehow we've got to communicate that to the women that we seek to sponsor or to mentor so that they can see the opportunities that this place offers. The other thing that we must do, and we absolutely must do, is that we must create a work environment that has the flexibility that allows women, particularly women with children, to feel that they have the power to make the decisions within their workplace that best suits their particular circumstances. It takes me 8 hours to get here from my home. I'm lucky enough now that my youngest child is no longer requiring my 24-hour care, because he's now at boarding school. But a decision I had to make to put him in boarding school because I was here. But when he was at home, it took me 8 hours to get here. And I think one of the things that we must do in this place is to make sure that we create a family-friendly environment so that not just women and not just men, but people who have families can feel that they have the tools and the flexibility to be able to operate in this space so that they feel that they can manage a work-life balance that is not going to be something that's going to prohibit them putting their hands up to come here in the first place. And the other thing that I really do believe is the responsibility of all of us, not of the women in this place, not of the women of the world, but of all people, including the men, and that is that we must make sure that we mentor, we sponsor and we encourage young people, whether they be men or women, but particularly if they're women, so that they can understand that the opportunities that being a federal member of parliament or a state member of parliament or even a local government representative is something that's worthwhile doing. It's something to aspire to, and it's a career that's worthwhile. We've got to stop demeaning politics, and we've got to stop demeaning this place. We've got to start putting some integrity and respect back into the profession of being a politician, because until we do that, I think it's very easy for people, whether they be men or women, to decide that they don't actually want to be politicians because the respect is gone out of the profession. But in conclusion, I'd just like to congratulate Hannah Wandell and the young women who've come together to put the Country to Canberra essay competition together, to say what a wonderful thing it is that some young women have sought to actually be so terribly proactive in this space when others haven't been. I really look forward to reading the essays of the people that are going to contribute this year. I look forward to welcoming the winners from each state that come to Canberra, because this year we have got the resources to enable the winners from each of the states of Australia to be able to come to Canberra so that they can have the opportunity to meet the women who represent this parliament, whether they be from my side, the government side of politics, the opposition, the crossbenchers, the Greens, or senior members of the public service. Also the opportunity to see young women who have been brought up in rural and regional areas have the same sort of opportunities for access to people that many of our city cousins have, because as a country senator and somebody who took on the role of being a country senator when I took on this role, and made sure that my primary focus in this place was always to represent people from rural and regional South Australia. It is a great pleasure to be able to have something that's close to my heart in two respects. One, to be working towards encouraging and empowering women to take control and to aspire to achieve the best they possibly can, but also that those young women are coming from rural and regional areas in Australia.